Amid a rise in anti-Semitism across the United States, Donald Trump echoed the dangerous language of infamous fascist leaders.
The most powerful images are not of Hitler, are not of Saddam Hussein. The most powerful images are of the hypocrites surrounding him, praying that this guy's his savior. The image of Donald Trump as Jesus Christ being hung on the cross.
Yes, the images of Trump are ominous and important, but it does paint the darkness of putting him side by side of other dictators, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, you can go on, and that's where we have to put him. People truly don't understand what absolute power for Donald Trump will mean. It's not a stretch. You could end up in jail. That's what dictators do. They take their political opponents and they put them in jail. We will no longer have a vote.
He's already tried it once. Okay. I mean, he called me a murderer and was saying I should be thrown in jail for murder.
And, when people say it's a stretch to put him next to Adolf Hitler or next to Mussolini, says who? What do we know he's capable of doing as an absolute leader in power? And I will tell everybody who's thinking twice, if you want to vote more than one more time, you need to vote for Joe Biden, because your vote will not matter anymore. You give that up. We will no longer be a free society. We take that for granted. We are not catastrophizing. The darkness is that dark.
We have to crush MAGA extremism forever.
Benito Mussolini was the original fascist, Il Duce, ruling Italy from 1922 to 1943, more than 20 years. And during that time, he didn't exactly hide his authoritarian agenda. As head of a coalition government back in the 1920s, he even said, quote, "I must take upon myself the task of governing the Italian nation from 10 to 15 years longer. It is necessary. My successor is not yet born." And at the time, many may have thought the Italian leader was, joking. But the joke was on them, because that's exactly what he did. The joke was also on the Brits and the Americans, who for years lampooned Mussolini in comic books and cartoons as a clown and a buffoon. That was their approach to the Italian fascist dictator in the making. He's joking, or he is a joke. Well, how did that work out for Italy and Europe during World War II? And so I couldn't help but think of Il Duce when I heard this from Donald Trump earlier this month.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight, you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except what?
He's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
drill.
And I couldn't help but think of Mussolini again.
You've covered the presidency for a very long time. This concept that they've created of essentially unitary president who cannot be stopped by Congress or anyone in the executive branch, what do you make of it?
It's ridiculous. There is no such thing. This is an invention. If we brought James Madison back, who did much to invent the system that we're talking about, his whole thing was balance of power, checks and balances between three branches, co-equal, a president, a Supreme Court, a Congress. And so what we've got now is, and he's telling us 16 months before the next presidential election, Donald Trump is the first person, the only person in all of American history who has said, if you elect me, my intention is to establish, just as you're saying, Joy, a presidential dictatorship. Telling you, the American people, your family, everyone you know, your friends, others, every private aspect of your life, if you're running a business, there's not going to be an independent Federal Trade Commission. Donald Trump will tell your business what to do. If you're part of a media organization, as we are, there will not be, for instance, an independent Federal Communications Commission. Donald Trump, if he hears something on MSNBC or another network, or doesn't like something he reads in the New York Times, which is probably pretty likely, he can do a lot to have, what we do, what all of us do, stilled, and perhaps even those organizations abolished. We've never seen anything like this in American history. All I'm saying to our friends who are watching us tonight, take this very seriously. Don't think this is a joke.
Give me your response to what Donald Trump is doing.
It is outrageous. It's horrifying, but it's expected from a fascist authoritarian person who wants to create havoc in this country, who wants to take us to Nazi Germany, I can't even talk, Nazi Germany. We exported racism, fascism to Nazi Germany. We exported it to South Africa, Jonathan. We know how to do it. We're good at it. And let's not pretend that Donald Trump isn't exactly like Mussolini, exactly like Hitler. He is that guy. And I want to pick up where Tara was for just a second and say something to the American people. Mm-hmm. I live in a neighborhood, Jonathan. You and I both have white partners. I live in a neighborhood, a nice mixed neighborhood, with all kinds of people, including Republican people, who are nice people, who shovel your grass, who care about the neighborhood, who care about the world, right? Y'all, you nice people don't want this guy just because your economy worked better for 5 minutes under his regime. You nice Christian, kind, loving, Jewish people, faithful people. You don't want this guy. We're not these people. We're not these people. And we're not going to get what we want if we elect this fascist, authoritarian weasel.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and dictatorship. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous, and that is he has no philosophy he believes in. He is not trying to expand the boundaries of the United States of America. He's not trying to overcome a neighboring country like Putin is in Ukraine. He is not going for some grandiose scheme of international dominance. All he wants is to look in the mirror and see a guy who's president. All he cares about is selfish self-promotion. That's the only philosophy he has, which makes him even more dangerous because he has actually said out loud that it would be okay to terminate the Constitution to keep him in power. He said this. He actually said those words. And the irony is all of these supposed conservative folks that have populated the Republican Party all stood around and with their thumb in their mouth going, well, yeah, okay, I guess so. It's bizarre.